Welcome to Envision Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success presents The Momentum Shift. A show where we get inspired, we get moving, and we get results. Every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern with your host, Eric Collier. He's the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, bringing you inspiring interviews and empowering stories that will help to improve lives. If you're ready to start making the impossible possible, then you've joined the right show, because the momentum shift is what you've been looking for.
Fourth, fifth, sixth, and then it wasn't until the 11th client that I worked on was the lady that had no eyebrow hair. She had a condition called trichotillomania where she pulls out all her eyebrow hairs and she's just like bald. She sneaks off to the bathroom every morning to draw her eyebrows on before she sees her family. And she was just like very meek, very timid, like no confidence. And she was actually the turning point in my microblading career, because up until that point, I didn't know if it was for me. And after I did her service and I prayed that day, like, please, God, bless my hands. I don't want to make a mistake. I have no room for error. She has no hair. And you can see so I worked on her, and then after I showed her her brows, she got really emotional. She was like, "Oh my God, like, are you telling me I can wake up with these?" She started crying and she was like, "Tanny, you have no idea. You just changed my life." And then she, "Can I give you a hug?" And she gave me the biggest hug. And then I start crying. She's crying. We're just standing there crying. And that was the first time anyone ever told me that I made a difference and made such a huge impact on their life. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, this is my calling. Like, this is what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna be the best brow artist I can be so that I can help as many people as I can. And just kind of ran with that.
Hello and welcome to the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. I'm your host, Eric Collier, and today's guest is here to help you shift in a moment where you're feeling stuck, or maybe you're sinking in mental quicksand. She's a woman who turned creativity into a global movement. She's the CEO of Sway Brows, a master PMU artist, and that's a permanent makeup artist, and an international educator who has transformed thousands of clients and trained over 1,500 artists to build six-figure careers, from fashion and designing to becoming a grandmaster trainer and industry leader. She's proof that when you bet on your gift, momentum follows. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to shift, because our visionary behind Sway Brows is joining us now, Tanny Diep. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here.
Excited about your interview
Yeah.
because when I sit and I go through your journey, I mean, just reading up on you and watching videos about why you do what you do, you truly are a momentum shifter, and that's what I'm excited about having you join the show.
Thank you so much. It's been a journey,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Well, I wanted to have you on joining us because I think, like I said, we'll call them trials, tribulations, but I like to call them opportunity tests and challenges to get to your next level. Uh, you can share those with our audience, and I think they can really use those to be able to start moving forward. So, my first question is always, what does momentum shifting mean to you, and how has it helped you shape your life?
I think momentum shifting, I mean, there's nothing that is absolutely permanent in this world, right? We are in a constant state of change, of mind shifting, body shifting, soul shifting. We're always moving. And
Yeah,
the thing is, one thing that you have to do is kind of flow with it and not fight it. No,
I like that.
don't swim against the currents, you know?
I like it. Yeah.
If you really want movement in your life. And I think that we are conditioned by society that there's only one path, one linear path that you can follow in your life.
Right.
And I don't believe that to be true at all, and I can see that working for some people. And that is also everyone has a choice and they can choose their happiness in many different ways. And for some people, finding a job, finding security, and working 40, 50 years for a company and having that comfort and safety, like that, they can find peace in that as well.
Yeah.
But for me, I think that I've always been a seeker of, something that lights my soul on fire, something that can challenge me physically, mentally, stimulate my everything, mind, body, spirit. So I've always felt the intuitions of wanting more,
Okay.
and more meaning more happiness, more peace. How can I show up for the world? How can I contribute to society? How can I make somebody's life better, or make them feel joy? And that is what ultimately brings me joy and fulfillment, right?
I like it. I like it because you said a couple of things there. You got to be able to flow. You got to be able to adapt, adjust, and keep moving. And more importantly, when you have that feeling of there's something more out there, just go with it and see what happens.
Right, because you never know. I think the worst thing that can happen is you tried and you didn't like it.
Yeah.
And for me, it's better to say, oh, well, than like, what if, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because if you're constantly thinking, well, maybe I could have done this, maybe I could have done that, but you never took the action, even the first step, try anything once, anyone can do. Try it 10 times, 100 times,
Yeah.
500 times, and then you really have something there,
There it
right?
is. Yeah. Because you can tweak it and you can keep moving and just keep trying, right?
Exactly.
I like
And
it.
I've tried many things in my life that felt natural, and some felt, unnatural. Then that's when you start to kind of question it a little bit. But
Yeah.
your natural instinct is to follow your talent, right? Everyone's born with personality, some
Yeah.
sort of knack, some sort of natural talent that you can play off of, get
Right.
yourself somewhere in life, right? You get to
Yeah.
where you need to be, and then that might take you from point A to point B, and you gain a lot of world experience along the way. Like
Yeah.
I've worked in sales. Like when I was in my teens and early college years, I worked in sales. And
Yeah.
I was naturally good at it because I'm a social person. I like to talk to people, and I can sell anything that I stand behind and feel confident about it.
There we go.
And, that served me for some time until I felt like, you know what, this is more corporate and more of an environment that I don't really feel like I'm growing in a way that I want to grow, and I wanted to grow creatively.
Yeah.
So then I started pursuing fashion design. Left the corporate world to come to fashion, but I came to fashion equipped with 10 years of sales
There
experience.
we go. Right.
So,
Set
you
yourself up. You
know what
wasn't
I mean?
starting over, you were just continuing on.
You just, yeah, you keep
Yeah.
going. And as you go along, you're building character, you're building skills, you're building experience. Nothing that a textbook or a classroom can teach you, because you actually had to walk the walk and do
Yeah.
the action,
There we
right?
go. Yes, I like
So
it. So let's do this before we get too deep into it. Let's tell everybody, what about Sway Brows and how it came about.
yes, Sway Brows is my company, and it's a permanent makeup. I started just as a permanent makeup artist. I got into it um, as a means of escape from my fashion career. Don't get me wrong. I loved working in fashion. I loved the people that I worked with. I loved the work that I was doing. It served me for a very long time, mentally and creatively. And it got to a point where I was feeling like I hit a wall. I hit my
Okay.
ceiling. 10 years into anything, and you'll start to wonder, do I keep going or
Right.
do I pivot? Right? And
Yeah.
how is this making me feel? Do I love what I'm doing? So I felt like my growth had probably capped at some point, where I'm like, okay, I think I've done everything that I wanted to do, and I want to try something different. And I wanted to leave the fashion industry and sales like altogether. I'm like, I want to do something completely different.
Right.
And somebody told me about microblading. And microblading, for those who are unfamiliar, is a form of permanent makeup for the eyebrows, where we draw tiny little hairs to form an actual eyebrow, and it looks very natural. And at the time, it was like the latest technique in the permanent makeup industry. And when I got into it, um, I felt like, okay, I am good with business, I'm good with sales. I just need to learn this skill and get really good at it.
Right.
But am I going to be able to do this? I'm not sure. I had doubts, I had fear, imposter syndrome. Can I tattoo people's faces and like
Right.
not mess up on somebody?
Gotta be nervous, right?
Yes, and then and I went through,
Oh,
at least I wanted to quit my first 10 clients. Every client I
yeah.
wanted to quit. And it was really tough because, and I wasn't sure if the industry was for me. And I started to feel like, okay, is this going to be another superficial, kind of toxic type of industry where, there's no depth to it, right?
Right.
But as I started working on more clients, and I would say my 11th client was someone that was referred to me by a friend of a friend, and she had a condition called trichotillomania, where you pull out all your eyebrow hairs. And so she
Okay.
had nothing, not even one hair. That was the
Okay.
first client that I worked on that had that condition, and there were no hairs to hide my flaws, and I had to do a really perfect job.
Wow.
And the reason why
Talk
this
about under pressure.
Yes. Very, very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And but when I met this lady, and this was a pivotal point in my career because up until this point, I wasn't sure if this was for me. I was
Okay.
holding on to my full-time job. I'm like, can I make this transition? Is it going to be worth it? Can I survive doing this? So a lot of doubt. And when I worked on that client, I prayed to God, please bless my hands. Please let me help this lady. She walked in with very low confidence, her head to the floor, couldn't even really, show me her face. And she said that she's been dealing with this since high school. She was like in her 30s, and she had kids and a family that she couldn't even face in the mornings. And so she had to draw on her eyebrows before she got the day started. And I was just like, wow, that's just such a hard way to live, right?
Yeah.
So I really wanted to do a great job for her, and I had practiced all week. I worked on her brows, and when I showed her the finished result, she paused and she got emotional. She
Yeah.
started crying, and she said, "Tanny, are you telling me like I can wake up with these eyebrows? I love them. They look
Wow.
amazing. You have no idea. You just changed my life. Can I give
Life,
you a hug?"
life changing. Yeah.
Life changing over some eyebrows. I didn't even
Yeah.
realize
Yeah.
what a difference eyebrows can make. So she
There.
gave me a huge hug. We're
Uh-huh.
standing there. I'm crying. She's crying.
Awesome.
And, and I felt an impact was
Yeah.
made
That's
deeper than, what I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's that aha moment. I always say that momentum shifts start with an aha moment, right? When you realize you're having more of an impact, or when you're realizing that there's got to be something different. I don't want to continue to live like this. So I think that's a great piece you just touched on, because that's, ooh, man, I can only imagine when you go into it and, like you said, just what'd you say, your 10th one?
My 11th one.
11th one, and you're like shaking, but you had practice, you were ready to go, and you just
Mhm.
you just like went with it. And I like that. That's a good piece, because some people don't make it to the 11th one, they just give up before it gets that point.
And I wanted to be one of those people real bad. Because every time and I was like, please send me a sign. Like, am
Yeah.
I meant to do this? Is this going to be the future for me? And that was the sign.
Yeah.
That was the moment my mind shifted. I changed my perspective on it because I was like, wow, I'm really helping women get their confidence back. And when
Yeah.
you have that confidence, you can step out into the world with your head held high, and you show up, and when you look good, you feel good, you do good. It's a ripple effect, and you're
Yeah.
just better, you know?
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask you. I'm like, after that 11th one, how did the momentum start picking up? Like, did the ideas start changing? Did you create other businesses? Did you just have different ways you wanted to go about doing it?
So from that moment, I was really just focused on becoming a great artist. And
Okay.
because I helped her and she reiterated her gratitude to me, and that, she prayed for me. She sent me a message that night that said, I'm so grateful for you. I pray for your success and I hope that you can help as many people as you have helped me. And
Nice.
in that moment, I said, this is it. This is my calling. I promised myself I would be the best brow artist I can be and maybe eventually teach others how to do this. But I want to get the skills right first.
Nice.
So I went really hard, laser focused, practiced every night. I worked up to maybe like 30 clients until I would say, well, actually, maybe my 19th client. And I used to
Okay.
keep a spreadsheet of my first 50 clients. That's why I remember them. And it's like, and I had to take notes on everybody.
Man,
And
that's good though. That gives you gives them an extra service that they may not get from us. I can't
right.
even get it out. But that.
So, yes, I had to analyze everything I was doing, face my flaws,
Mhm.
what mistakes I was making, and how do I improve this? I wanted to improve rapidly. So
Yeah.
my 19th client was a stranger that found me on the internet that paid me full price. Up until that point, I was discounting everyone, friends, family, you
Okay.
know how it is. You
Gotcha.
can't build a business off friends and family. They're going to be
Right.
discounting you the rest of your life.
Right.
So
The
And
family discount.
you know what I mean? So some stranger found me on the internet and I was like over the moon. I was like, I made it. I'm validated. Someone paid me full price at the time. It was like $350. That was the validation I needed to
Yeah,
prove that I could really, I have a legitimate business now.
nice.
So from there, I want to say a couple months later, I started taking it very seriously. I eventually ended up quitting my full-time job. I got my own little solo salon studio. It's like 100 square feet, four walls, not even a window
Uh-huh.
in my bed, and I started building from there. The momentum started picking up. And
Yeah.
during this time, I was building out my online presence. I was building my social media. I was really staying consistent because my goal, if I was to quit my job, was like, okay, I need like 10 clients a week. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive.
There we go.
And when you have a goal with a deadline and then an action plan, you need the what, the why, and the how.
Oh,
So
watch
that
out.
the action plan is going to help you make that dream come true. Otherwise, it's
Yeah.
just, floating in the ethers.
Yeah.
So,
I like that. That piece was that piece you just gave. That putting a deadline on the goal. That was something that took me a while to do. Like, because there's this feeling of, well, I don't want to put a deadline on it because if I put the deadline on it, I might not make that goal. I don't know if I want to deal with that failure. And that's a tough one for a lot of people that I've even coached to come out and say, hey, I'll put this deadline on it.
yeah. And putting that deadline, it creates a sense of urgency. And then,
Yeah.
like you said, you can either look at it as a failure if you don't make it
Yeah.
there,
Right.
or you'll find that maybe by your deadline, you weren't 100% at your goal, but you might be 70% closer,
Exactly. Yes.
and that's still
Yes.
a win.
Yeah. Yeah. What's worse, being 70% closer or being in the same spot by the time you get to that same deal?
Exactly. You could be at 10% if you
Yeah.
didn't put a goal,
I had,
you
I
know?
had somebody say, they said, well, how long do you want to live? And you're like, well, okay, cool. Well, sooner or later, you're going to reach that point. What will you have accomplished by then? And then if you live longer, how would you feel about not accomplishing what it is you wanted to accomplish in life?
Yeah. I think the end goal, the timeline gives you accountability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
big
I
piece.
think from there, after I was in my solo studio for like 6 months or so, and I had been doing it for about a year, my mentor, she branched off from the company I learned from, and she opened her own academy. So
Hmm.
she invited me to become one of the trainers in her academy.
Yeah,
So that was,
that's
a
big.
catalyst into a whole nother business, a whole nother world, now
Yeah,
teaching the actual skill to
I think I
people.
saw you in a different country. You're global.
Yes, very blessed to have, I've taught in Japan.
Yeah.
I'm leaving to Vietnam next weekend for a
Oh,
conference,
congrats.
and I'm
Congrats.
speaking on marketing, PMU marketing for success.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've had many opportunities at this point now from showing up, doing the work, and staying consistent with it. And all you can do is just do your best and take every opportunity that you can as it comes if you're ready for it. And, there have been opportunities that I've taken that, um, and it doesn't always have to be transactional,
Yeah.
these opportunities, because sometimes people can feel like, oh, well, what am I going to get out of that opportunity?
Right.
Versus like, what am I here to give?
There we
And
go.
how is this going to in turn, it'll come back to me somehow. Every action that you take is like a ripple in the pond of opportunities, the ocean of opportunities,
Yes.
right? You don't know it, and it doesn't come back the same way it went out.
There we go.
But
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You never know how it's coming back. You have no idea what your actions today can spark.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think I've just always been a mover. And also you said, how did Sway Brows come about? I love to dance and
Okay.
I love music. And like my happy place is like great music. I'm dancing, I'm moving, like nobody's watching.
Nice.
When I was building my business and I couldn't come up with a name for the life of me, but I wanted something really simple, easy to remember.
Uh,
And I had to ask myself 20 questions, like to figure out my brand identity. Who are you? What do you stand for? What do you like? What's your mood? What's your vibe, your aesthetic? How do you want clients to feel? And ultimately, why? Why do you want to do this? I had to
yeah.
ask myself. And the answer was, I like making people happy. But
Okay.
what makes me happy? is music. And when I hear music, what do I do? I rock, I
There we
sway,
go. Yeah.
and I move, and I'm like, sway brows.
Sway
That's
brows. I like it.
it.
That's and that's a good one to have. I mean, music going in your head. I mean, it's relaxing. It just calms the soul, right? Puts you in
Yeah,
a different state. I like that.
absolutely.
You
So
know,
like,
I go
go
ahead.
ahead. Mhm.
Go ahead.
I would say the music that I play in my studio is curated. Like I have my playlist, like there's a mood that I want to set. When
Yeah.
clients walk in, I want them to feel a certain way. When they walk out, I want them to feel a certain way. And these are all the tiny details that set you apart
Yeah.
from the competition, like what makes you unique. Like
Yeah.
that's branding.
Yeah. I
Mm.
was at they say just how you make people feel. They'll never forget about that, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So we're talking about shifting and just talking about your shift and how you, like I said, you started your business, your company, Sway Brows, but over what was it, over a 2 year time frame, you went to seven figures?
Yes, so the first year, and this blew my mind because
Yeah.
my goal for my whole 30s was to make six figures.
Yeah.
And through all the jobs and the work experience that I did, I was kind of close, but I wasn't quite there yet.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how it was gonna happen, but I'm like, I'm gonna make six figures.
Right.
And my first year as a PMU artist, I broke six figures. And then my second year when I started teaching, hit multiple six figures. And then by the like third year, I hit seven figures and it
Wow.
was insane.
And that's proof right there, right? So you can either stay stuck or start moving and find out. And
Hmm.
that's what you did. And people don't realize you're missing out on a great opportunity to change things. If you wake up in the middle of the night or in the morning and you've got this great idea, don't push it aside.
Hmm. Yeah, but it starts with that spark and
Yeah.
it starts with that idea, but then you have to take action and you have to consistently, you know, keep going, like keep taking action.
Yeah.
That's what's going to create the consistency. I think, like you said, how people will quit before they even receive the blessings. And but the thing is, if you want something so bad, everything that happens to you up until that point is going to be a test. The universe is going to test you to see if you can even hold what it is that you are praying for and what you're going to do with it. Are you
Yeah.
still, are you going to blow it? Are you here to, you know, serve and give it back to the people and do what you can with your gift?
Right.
So I feel like I never have taken any part of this for granted. There's been moments, again, challenges, businesses, as usual. You're jumping through flaming hoops all the
Right.
time.
All
And
the time.
and you do it so much that eventually you're like, whatever, how high? Let me go.
There we go. Yeah, I tell people all the time, they go, man, you're busy. You're doing so much. You got so much going on. I'm like, well, you never know how much you're capable of doing. You have
Mhm.
potential to be able to accomplish so many different things. And you limit yourself by saying, well, I can only do this. I don't have time for that. But when you look at your calendar and you look at your schedule, there's somewhere along the lines you can do more.
Totally. And I think once you start, because you got to start small. I didn't
Yeah.
wake up one day and like built an empire. I did not.
Right.
Absolutely not. I was a party girl, and did not have the work ethic. Like I think my old boss really whipped me into shape because I was like this young, like fresh out of college, very social.
Yeah.
And I was like, calling out sick every other Monday because I partied too hard over the weekend. And so the discipline was not there yet. And
Right.
I don't think I really found it until working with her for years, and she was a really tough lady, but she taught
Yeah.
me a lot about work ethic and how to be strong. And then yeah, I took a little side quest halfway through the fashion career and decided I wanted to be a yoga teacher.
There we
And
go.
you know, and that was also a solution to a problem that I was having because I had a lot of anxiety. I was overworked, feeling like I was just living to work and my soul was not getting nourishment in any way. So I thought,
Yeah.
okay, maybe grounding myself and yoga practice will kind of help me manage my mind and body and all of this. So I took a yoga teacher training for 4 months, didn't end up being a yoga teacher, but it taught me a lot of discipline. It actually allowed me to stop having limiting beliefs. You
Okay.
spend a lot of time sitting in these poses or sitting in meditation with uncomfortable thoughts that will arise and,
Mm.
things that you might have blamed yourself for, trauma over the years, failures, mistakes. It all comes up when you're just sitting in stillness with your
Yeah.
own mind.
Ooh, yeah.
And
Yeah, because you
It
run out of
and
things to talk about to yourself.
exactly. And then when you're faced with that, you have a choice. You can
Hmm.
either be, the passenger of your life, you can be the driver, but what you have to be able to do is be an observer of your thoughts
Hmm.
and ask yourself, like, what are these thoughts? Why are they here? How do I feel about them? And how can I acknowledge them and let them go?
Yeah.
So you have to kind of give yourself permission to grow and be who you are here to be. Because I think there's so much noise,
Yeah.
environmentally, now on media and electronics
Yes.
and all of that stuff. And we're
Yeah.
listening to all these voices tell us who we should be, what we should do, and all of this stuff. But until you really sit with yourself, you won't know what your true calling is. And you won't know what it is that you're going to pursue. And I
Yeah.
think that unlocked that in me where I'm like, I want happiness, I want peace, and I want to serve other people. And I don't know what that's going to look like or what vessel it is that I'm going to step into. But, just putting it out there into the universe with my manifestation and gratitude journal practice. And it all started from there.
Yeah.
And little by little, it came to me.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You have a master class being put on right here today. I'm really not even here. I'm just kind of listening and going, wow, this is cool. But you're touching all of the different things that people have to do, that we have to do on a daily basis, because it's not a one and done thing. It's continuous. I got to continue to connect with me and understand who I am, why I'm here, which direction I want to go. And I like how you did that, because I was going to ask you, like, what are some of the some of the methods that you use to keep
Yeah.
yourself focused and kind of dialed in. And you
Yeah.
touched on them, those journaling, the meditating. Uh,
Mhm.
but I'll ask you this: how do you incorporate those things with your students and your clients?
Absolutely. I mean, having that mindset shift. So I
Mhm.
used to be a very negative person, kind of hot-tempered, had a lot of anxiety, and
Uh,
and I was very responsive, explosive, and after learning to manage my thoughts a little bit better, journaling really helped get my feelings out, like practicing gratitude every day, and honestly, reading a lot of books. I started spending my commutes that used to drive me nuts, hour to and from LA, instead of complaining about it, I started listening to audiobooks. I
yeah,
started, reading a lot of self-help books. My self-help journey started there, and all I wanted to be was lower the bar as much as you can, just 1% better each day.
there
You
we
don't have
go.
to be a superstar tomorrow, but
Right.
1% each day, and do that every single day. And so with my students, I have to teach, like, you cannot learn how to tattoo someone in 3 days.
Yeah.
So our program is 3 days, but then it includes like a 6 month mentorship online. And online is where, we have pre-recorded videos. They have to watch these videos and do the exercises. And
Okay.
I tell them that you have to practice every single day because this is almost a meditation that you have to sit and draw these hair strokes
Uh,
and be unbothered and like, and have the patience to make each hair stroke very perfect so that it can form like the bigger picture of something that's going to make someone look flattering and beautiful and proportioned. And that does not happen overnight.
right.
So I promise you, if you put in the work each day, 30 minutes a day, just sit, make it meditative, turn on a candle, light some, turn on some music, and don't, your mindset around it shouldn't be, oh, I have to practice. Your mindset is like, the faster I can get through this course, the faster I can start working and making money and serving people and like being successful. And you have to look at it that way.
Yeah.
But it takes consistency, which a lot of people aren't ready to commit to.
Yeah, that being in the process is a big piece. A lot of people want the end result. I also always talk about mental quicksand. We get caught up in that mental quicksand where we're sinking because we're not getting those quick microwavable results. It's
Hmm.
always, always. I think I always heard it. You can't eat an elephant in one bite. If you think
Yeah.
about it, right? Nobody's eating an elephant, but the goal that you have should be a pretty big goal that you want to accomplish. But it's in the process of eating the elephant. Bite by bite,
Yeah.
that you get there. And so you've got to be in the process. So they say champions become champions because of what they do in the dark before they step into the arena. So I like how you coach them and you teach them to understand the importance of the daily routine, consistency in and every day. You didn't just get here by like you said, waking up and going, oh,
I'm a
I'm global
champion.
now, right? I'm global.
No, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you just focus on the 1%, I can improve 1%, wake up with gratitude every day and like lower that gratitude bar. Like I'm grateful for my home, my bed, just having a warm shower. When you travel to other countries out there and you see what other people are living like, you get a real rude awakening of like, wow, my life is actually pretty amazing just because I have food and shelter. And,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people lose sight of what we already have because you're thinking of what you want and
Mhm.
what your goals and like what you're aiming for, but it really starts with grounding yourself in that gratitude and then just working on yourself a little bit mentally, physically, and spiritually every single day.
Yeah, I like that. And so I wanted to touch on, we talked about Sway Brows, but you also have another organization, which is your nonprofit side of the house, correct? Is
Well,
it?
there's a sector of the business where we do complimentary services for
Mhm.
cancer survivors, clients with alopecia, or people who have suffered conditions that have made their eyebrows fall out. So
Mhm.
we have an application process. The program's called Touched by an Angel, and it was something that I learned through the academy that I was teaching with and serving
Mhm.
with from day one when I learned with the academy. They always had this like either pay with a smile, that was the first academy, or this was touched by an angel, but they emphasize that the
Yeah,
humanitarian work that you can do by giving back to people who have struggled.
yeah.
So I usually do maybe one every month or so, and even my staff who trained, I've trained them from babies, beginners to eventually masters and senior artists. So once they get to a certain level where I feel like, okay, you can totally do this, then they can take on clients like that as well. So it's just been really fulfilling, heartwarming. We're working with different clients, men and women. The last two alopecia clients I had were men.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. So let's talk about how you've taken your business to the global side. I know you touched on it a little bit, but like the key decisions that allowed you to scale from a solo artist to a global educator. Like when you sat down with that, and we talk about fear a little bit. We talk about I know you're very courageous. You're like, I'm going to try this and go at it. But talk to me about how you help your team, your students understand the importance of building a I won't say a global brand, but just building their brand so that they're making more of an impact.
Yeah, I think it never started with the goal of becoming a global brand. I think we're very fortunate these days that we have applications like social media, Facebook, Instagram that can connect us with anyone worldwide. And
Yeah,
Instagram has grown tremendously, exponentially over the last 8 years,
yeah,
where yes, you can literally have conversations with people across the world, or the way that our phones work now and FaceTime and all this wasn't really prevalent like 10 years ago, you know what I
right,
mean? But now, as my artistry grew, I started attracting students from all over the world that were training with me online, like from Singapore, from South America, from Asia, like Japan. And so I made a lot of connections along the way too from when I was teaching. And one of my colleagues that was a teacher with the academy that I was with, she is Japanese and she's based in Hawaii. And she came to visit me a few times because I was the number one trainer with the academy that I was teaching with.
nice.
So I
Okay,
became like number one because I had the highest graduation rate of students. So I'm
okay,
not just teaching, I want to make sure they finish the program.
right,
So, I was making a lot of noise, and some of the other trainers were coming to sit in and watch how I teach. And then one of the trainers, who was based in Hawaii, she said, "Hey, you should come to Hawaii sometime and I'll host a class for you here." And I said, okay, great. Like I came to Hawaii to her studio, we connected, and she says, hey, so I teach in Japan a couple times a year, and I also have a business there, and I'd love for you to come with me one
nice.
day to let's host a class there together. And so I said, amazing, let me know, and then so the following year she said, hey, let's do the Japan tour we talked about. And so we stayed connected, and then that was the first time I actually went and physically taught in an international country.
Well, nice. I think that's a big piece right there, right? You went from fashion, you went to all the different sales, and all of that helped you set yourself up to where you are today. But more importantly, it's that commitment to put the work in. That to me is that's everything I listen to here is just a commitment to put the work in. And
Yep.
you don't sound like a person who's like, well, I'll do half of it. I'll give you about 50% every day. You're going at it on a daily basis. I always like to say, choose greatness over average. And you can talk about average being what everybody else would do. Well, what can I do to get myself ahead? And I think you said that a little earlier. I like that mindset.
Like, because what I do now, I mean, in the beginning, it was like, okay, I'm balancing the artistry. And then I added on the training. And then about 4 years in, I realized that there's a huge gap in the industry because everyone's just learning technical skills.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, I built my business because of my marketing acumen. So then one of my mentors and I, we decided to build a marketing course. Like an online marketing course, just to tag on to the training that I was already doing. It
Okay.
started gaining traction, and then people were asking like for one-on-one coaching. So then we decided after a year, like, okay, let's kind of recalibrate and like see if we can put something together for one-on-one coaching. So him and I have been doing this for 4 years now, and we have like a full-blown business marketing coaching program now that is like we have a done with you, done for you package. We have like 3 different tiers. They can do the online, but they can do more. And we're coaching not just PMU artists, permanent makeup artists. We're coaching hairstylists, lash artists, estheticians, anyone in the beauty industry that wants to build their business and is feeling stuck. So I feel like my work now has even gone beyond just the permanent makeup space, and we're connecting and helping women and seeing some of our coaching members like go from feeling stuck and ready to close their business to
Yeah.
all of a sudden making 8 to 10 grand a month and like building a six-figure business from the strategies that we help them with.
Right.
And
That's good.
so again, like now balancing so many different things, I feel like I've built a lot of muscle. I'm like calloused. Like I tell people, like my skin is like a 12 inches thick at this
There we
point,
go.
Like nothing really phases me anymore. And I
Yeah.
wake up and I do what I gotta do. And yes, the days are long and but I try to balance my life so that I can spend a lot of time with my son, and I do things that make me happy as well. And it's not all about work all day long because there was a time where I was just working nonstop.
Yeah.
But then every time I start to feel like I'm about to go off the deep end, I gotta reel myself back and again recalibrate. Like
Yeah.
what's on the board, what needs to grow, what can stay, and what needs to go.
Yeah.
So if you ever start to feel like you're getting a little too chaotic.
Yeah. That goes to my next question, right? So a lot of times the momentum stops because of the self-sabotage, right?
Mhm.
We kind of give one thing up so that we can focus on another thing without realizing we can still not I won't say balance it, but we can do something here. We can pick a day where we're focused on our family or time where we're focused on our family, and then the time where we're focused on our business is 24 hours in a day, right? We can
Mhm.
find that. So how do you manage your, I'll say focus, you manage your focus and your time?
I think nowadays, a very rigorous iPhone calendar. So,
Okay. All right.
and again, just staying organized. But for me, I can have a lot going on, but I need it to be structured. I need to
Okay.
have the chaos organized. And
Gotcha.
I thrive on organized chaos. So there's
Yeah.
specific days, like Mondays are my days off, but admin days, I end up doing podcasts or
Right.
consultations, interviews, like admin work. And I have specific schedules that I do for Tuesdays because we do coaching calls with my coaching team. And so I only do touch ups. So touch up Tuesdays, three
Okay.
appointments, and then a coaching call in between. And then some couple of days during the week, we might have like one-on-one coaching calls like AM because my partner's in Florida. So I'm 8 a.m., he's 11 a.m.
Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
the 2 hour block from 8 to 10 a.m. is like CEO time, coaching time. And then I get to the studio usually from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. ish most days of the week.
Okay.
Weekends, I'm usually teaching. And then, the 4 hours of time at night that I get with my son, dinner, play with him, and once they all go to bed around 10 p.m., I need time to decompress as well.
There we go.
So I spend about maybe 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. usually decompressing, stretching, and a little bit of meditation, journaling, then kind of recapping, answering messages, just doing light work,
Yeah.
but it's a way for me to unwind and feel like I'm still giving back to myself. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just pouring like all day.
Yeah.
And so that's been my routine, honestly, for like the last 8 years.
Got you. I
Yeah.
like it because a lot of times you find yourself, people get caught up in their technology and the emails and everything else. They're constantly responding instead of, excuse me, they're constantly reacting instead of being intentional with their time.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so I like that. You say you take that time and you're like you shut it down. You're doing everything light work, but you're not on anybody else's schedule. You're not responding or anything. You're doing your thing. I like it.
And it's important to be intentional with everything that you do.
Yeah,
From the way you show up, the way you serve your clients or people that you work with, and how you do your marketing, like everything has to have some sort of intention behind it, some sort of path. And then, like I said, you have to manage your own physical self as well and take care of
yeah.
yourself as well.
Very
So
important. There's only one you.
there's only one you. Yeah.
So Leslie, where do you see Sway Brows or Tanny Deep going? Where do you see that whole your whole journey going?
Right now, we have multiple aspects of the business, and I've kind of moved through different levels of intensity in each part of it.
Hmm.
So, today I don't take as many clients as I used to before,
Yeah.
intentionally because it's very hard on my body. I went through maybe like last year, I had a very bad injury in my shoulder, neck, just from wear and tear that I had to go through therapy for like months. I couldn't even lift my arm, to be
Oh,
honest.
okay. Wow.
So and that was a wake up call that like you cannot do this forever.
Yeah.
So I've scaled back a little bit on the clients. I'm focusing more on teaching and coaching, and I want to create more digital assets, go more into speaking and podcasting and sharing my story. And so those opportunities are opening up for me as well. And
Yeah.
I think in the future, I still want to continue what I'm doing, but the proportions of each thing are going to change a little bit as I grow through it.
Gotcha.
And I'm done expanding. I feel like I just want to continue cultivating mastery in everything that I'm doing. Just keep doing it better and better and finding ways to improve it. Because there was a time where I was expanding like crazy and forgot that each branch is going to require marketing, a systems, me,
Yeah.
more of me and all this stuff. So I'm like, I don't want that anymore. I think the more I've accomplished, the less I want. Like I'm getting to the point where I'm tired. Okay, I need to just do something
Yeah.
that is a little less physically strenuous, but still can make a difference. I still love to teach. I still
Yeah.
love to work with clients. I still love coaching. And now I love being able to connect with, other entrepreneurs like yourself, share my story, share our thoughts, and, just have these discussions. So I feel like the future of Sway is still, going to be moving in that trajectory and just doing it on a bigger scale.
Yeah. Just real quick, you mentioned something about mastery. Like, what do you see mastery as? What does that mean to you?
Mastery is, and I always think of Bruce Lee. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of him. And when he says like,
Rose right here. I love
you know
this.
what I mean? Like, fear not the man that did 10,000 kicks, but
Yeah.
fear the man that did one kick 10,000 times.
Yeah, there we go. I like it.
And so mastery to me is just doing something over and over. Get your 10,000 hours in and
Yeah.
to the point where you can do it with your eyes closed and it's something that you become known for, respected for, and that you can, again, replicate your results by teaching it to somebody else and passing on that torch. So that's what I want to. I mean, I've achieved that with my skills, and but the thing is, I still feel like I'm a student of the game.
Yeah.
I'm still learning and I'm still wanting to improve my skills. I'm not even 100% happy with where I am. Like I'm taking another masterclass when I go to
Right.
Vietnam in a couple weeks to learn from another
I
artist
like it.
because I see new things happening and I want to stay on top and I want to stay ahead. So I'm continuously sharpening my skills, how I teach, how my program is being received by my students, how our coaching program is working. So again, it's just kind of like tweaking what you're doing and just making it better and better.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I like that because when you look at it, so many. I'm a big boxing fan and fighting fan, period. But so many of them work real hard to get on top, and then they stop working out. They stop doing all of the things that they did to get there, and they're no longer there. So that mindset of even though I'm on top, I continue to work because I know I can get better. I like to say that even when I'm at the top of the mountain, I'm at the bottom of another one I got to climb. So I like that
Mhm.
mindset.
Exactly. And I'm not at Everest yet. So
Right. Right. I like it. So if you don't mind me asking, like, what's the legacy you want to leave? Like when you say you got your son. So what's the legacy you're working to leave him? And then we'll go ahead and start closing this out.
Yeah, I mean, my son is very sweet. He watches me and he's obsessed with mommy. And he comes to my studio. He knows which studio is which. Like, are we going to the academy? Are we going to Sway Inked? Are we going to Sway Brows? He sees me answer a call. He picks up the phone sometimes. He goes, "Hello, this is Tanny." Like he can, like he's 5 years old. He's turning 6 years old, but he comes to the studio and he wants to put on gloves and he wants to put on the mask and he tells me, "Mommy, I want to be a doctor, but I want to
Nice,
be just like you." So I'm like, okay, great. You can be a beauty
nice.
doctor. All the aunties are going to need a plastic surgeon in about
There we
20
go.
years.
Yes.
So I just love setting that example for him. And he's lived a very comfortable life. I want to say he's traveled with me. Like he's been to like 10 different countries and he's only 6. And
Nice.
now he's asking me, "Mommy, when are we flying first class?" And I'm like, okay, reel it back, buddy. Like, okay, mommy hasn't even flown first class and I'm 41 years old. So you got a little bit of time, but
Let's
so
go,
now
mommy. When are we going to get our jet?
right? But I work really hard and I explained to him like if you want these things in life, you see mommy has to do this.
Yes.
But I love that every night with him, we say our prayers, we say our gratitude. So I'm passing on that practice to him. And he's making me so proud because the other night he asked for $6 million, right? And I said,
Oh,
"Why
nice.
six? Why
Yeah,
not one?" And he said, "Why not six?"
I
And I
like
said,
it.
"You're right." And and then he's in Taekwondo, so he's learning a lot of
Okay.
discipline. And he says, and the other night he was praying for his senior yellow belt. He's praying for his black belt, things he has not received yet, but
Yes.
he's grateful for them and like he's
Nice.
manifesting it into his life.
I
So
like it.
the legacy I want to pass on to him is just the work ethic, the gratitude, the grounding under, being grateful that, we have a very comfortable life, but, we worked very hard for it and it doesn't come easy. So if you want something, you still have to work for it too. And he sees, how hard myself and his father work. My husband is an entrepreneur as well. And
Nice.
so I think for him, the world is his oyster.
Yeah.
He's an amazing kid, like very sweet.
I like it. I
Mhm.
love it. I mean, that's why you shift, right? That's why you shift. It's not just for you, but those who come behind you. I think that's a big piece. So, what do you have coming up, and how can people connect with you?
So,
I hate
right
to end it, but I got to
now,
do
I know, right? We could
it.
just keep on jamming. But they can find me at swaybrows.com and we offer services in permanent makeup for brows, eyeliner, lip blush. We also do cold plasma skin treatments for skin rejuvenation. I teach classes monthly in my studio. We're in the Artesia Cerritos area of like Los Angeles. And I teach classes on the permanent makeup for brows, cold plasma, and then we also do the business marketing coaching. So everything can be found on my website, or you can follow me on Instagram at Sway Brows.
Nice. So, what would you like to leave the audience or the listeners before we go out?
I think I'd like to tell everyone that you have more capacity and more power than you give yourself credit for. And that I think anything is worth trying if you hear even the smallest inkling of a voice inside of you, in your gut, in your mind, little whispers. Follow those little whispers, and you never know what can come from it because had I not taken that first leap, I wouldn't be here today. And I wish this level of happiness and success for everyone out there.
I love it. I love it. Man, I mean, you, like I said, you put on a master class. I really didn't. I was just here, just kind of asking a few questions here and there. But I just love it. Your energy and your passion for what you do, and just how you flow. I love that. I love it. So keep doing what you're doing because you truly are a momentum shifter. You are a great example, not just to your son, but to everybody out there on how to change your life and just keep moving forward to your next level, right?
Mm. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the time and was a lovely conversation. Thank you.
Truly enjoyed it. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. I'm your host, C. Eric Collier, also known as the Mayor of Motivation. And you had the awesome Miss Tanny Diep joining us tonight. So go check out swaybrows.com. And until next time, just keep pushing because nobody's going to do it for you. It's your time to rise, rebuild, and redefine what's possible. Take care. Coming in 2026 to the Leading Edge Network, the Momentum Shift television show with Sierra Collier. We've all been there. We all felt stuck. kind of like we're doing everything we could possibly do, but we just can't move forward. I've been there, faced adversity, setbacks, and doubted myself. But what I learned was there's this powerful thing called momentum. And momentum is not about being perfect. It's about moving forward. So the Momentum Shift television show is going to come to you with tools, techniques, experiences, stories of everyday heroes who are just finding a way to continue to move forward so that we can help you do the same. So join us on the Leading Edge Network, the Momentum Shift with C. Eric Collier. And don't just watch, don't just listen, but understand that your shift starts now. Because I'm somebody who believes that the largest gap an individual will face is the gap that stands between where they are now and what they could become. So the question becomes, are you willing to climb? The greatest trick the mind will ever pull is convincing you that your greatness does not exist. Mama used to say, she said, Eric, what you do in the dark will come out in the light. And she means that you reap what you sow. You get what you put in. And so you got to put the work in. Why? Because you're going to step your game up and tap into that untapped potential of yours and become the greatest person that you could possibly become.
I woke up, I was about to lose everything. And so my wife was about to leave me, and that meant my 3 children were going to be gone, which really hurt me because I would fall short on a promise to my kids where I told them that I was their father. Nobody would ever be in the house taking care of them. Nobody would be responsible for them. They never had to worry about calling anybody daddy but me. Momentum shift. When you get stuck, you got to find a way to get going. And that is all about elevating your performance. You have to realize that high-level results are not products of low-level effort. So you got to step your game up. So you get stuck, you got to get yourself moving. And when you're down in the dumps, you're the only one that's going to be there. So you got to be your own hype man. What happens is when you don't realize that you have all that you ever need to create the life that you want to live, you're missing out. You're standing at the base of that mountain thinking and hoping somebody's going to save you when all you got to do is take action. Theodore Roosevelt said, he said that the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena with their face marred in dust with sweat and blood. You've got to get into the arena, claim your moment, take the opportunity to take your shot. Then when you're in that arena, think about this. I got to step my game up.
Eric's message was extremely powerful.
The power of overcoming is not just connected to you. You're rising because the people behind you are counting on you. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you for joining The Momentum Shift, a show bringing you interviews and stories of incredible people to help you get inspired, get moving, and get results to ultimately create the life-changing momentum shift that will improve your life. Join host Eric Collier, the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern for The Momentum Shift, the show and change you've been looking for.